As a graphic designer, part of how we surprise our client and audience is telling the right story with photo manipulation. So I got this request from one of my followers, and I'm going to be teaching you how to create 3D paper type with two applications. So we're going to be using Adobe Illustrator, where we're going to be creating the 3D object, and we're going to take this object to Photoshop to add depth to it. If there's any part in this tutorial that look interesting to you, please drop it in the comment section of this video, and remember to click the like button. If you need the exercise file, simply make use of the link in the description section of this video. So sit back, relax, and keep watching. So I'm on Illustrator now, and I'm going to create a new document. So I'll click on File. Now select New. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my unit here to pixels, and my width is going to be 800. Then height is going to be 800, like so. Then I'm going to call this paper, right? And I'm going to select the Create button. So then I'll go straight to the pen tool, and I'm going to click and just type save. I'm going to make this bigger because we are going to be creating our part with the type here. The part is what we're going to be using to create the 3D paper look. So I'm going to change my font here to Century Gothic. This for now, and I'm going to close the track. So alright, this is good. So I'm going to position this here for now. I'll create a new layer because it's not always good to draw on the same layer when doing this. Alright, so I'm going to lock my text layer now, and I'll make sure this is active, and I'm going to select the pen tool, and this time I'm going to change my fill to no fill, and my stroke is going to be on blue. Alright, let's make the first letter cap. Alright, and yeah, I think this is okay now, and I'll lock the layer again, and I'll make sure my cursor is on the layer 2. Alright, then I'm going to select the pen tool and change my fill to no fill, and stroke is going to be on blue, and I'll make sure that my stroke is set to 1, and I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to start from here like so. So if you don't know how to use the pen tool, I have a tutorial on how to use it up here. Okay, just make use of it. So I'm going to continue, and I'll position this here like so, and just drag. Okay, and put this here and just drag like so. Okay, and I'm gonna end it here like so, here like so, finish it here like so. So I'm going to hit the escape key because we need to fine tune the part. So I'm going to start with this, and I'm just going to drag this here. Here. So, all right, this is okay. So for the letter A, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to draw an ellipse shape here. So I'm just going to draw this here and just position this here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer, because if I try to create a new part now, my pen tool will automatically add a point to my ellipse shape here. So, and that's not the plan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer and lock this layer, and I'm going to select the pen tool. Then I'm going to just click right here like so, and I'm going to make this curvy like so. All right, and I'm going to move this here so it should be here, and this should be here. It should be here like so. All right, so now for my letter E, my letter E here is too far from my V, so I'm going to just end my point here and hit the escape key, and I'm gonna fine tune my part here, and then when I'm done, then we'll now draw the letter E. So I'm just gonna fine tune this. I'll unlock the layer and just push the letter E close to the V like so, and I'm gonna move this in and select the pen tool and then click to continue this here, and I'm just gonna end it here like so. All right, and I'm gonna hit the escape key, and I'm gonna use my direct selection tool here to just fine tune. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hide this layer, and I'm going to zoom out. All right, gray. I need to move this a bit closer to the letter A like so, and I'm going to select the part, and I'm going to change this to gray here. All right, because this is very important. So I'll go to object and select expand. Now make sure that fill and stroke is checked. All right, because we're trying to convert the stroke to a fill object. All right, so I'm going to select the OK button, and the next thing I'm going to do now is to click on the unite button here. Let's make it light gray. So I'll go straight to effects now, and I'm going to select 3D and materials, and I'm going to hit the 3D classic, extrude, and bevel classic option. I'm going to select the option here now. I'm going to make my first angle here minus 15. This will be minus 15, and this should be minus 24. This should be 6, and so yeah. So make sure that this is set to no cap. All right, make sure no cap is checked, and I'm going to make this 40. So I'm going to move from here down to this side. All right, so I'll move this here, and I'm going to add another light again by clicking on this plus sign here, and this should be somewhere around here like so. Then I'll add another light again by clicking on the plus sign again, and this should be here. Okay, and I'm going to add another light again, and this should be here. Add another light again, and this should be here like so. Light is going to be 24 because I didn't want to have strong shadow. You know what, let's just make this more darker. So I'm going to make this, let's say 14. I'm going to put the light at the back. I'm going to put some of the light at the back, like this light here should be at the back, and this also should be at the back. This should be at the back, and this should remain as is. And I'm going to change my ambient light to 24. All right, yep. So I think this is okay for now, and I am going to click the OK button. So now I'm going to hit Control for Windows users and Command for Mac users, and hit C on my keyboard here, and I'll go straight to Photoshop. I'll create a new document, and I'm going to call this 3D paper. All right, and I'm going to make this 800 by 800, and my resolution is going to be 72 the way it is because I'm not printing this. So then I'm going to click on the create button. So what I'm going to do first is to create my background. So I'm going to click here and just use red, and use I'm going to use a darker value of red here, and I'm going to select the OK button. I'll make a new layer and call this BG. All right, so I'm going to click on the OK button now. I'm going to hold on Alt because my foreground here is the red color. So the shortcut of applying that to your layer is to hit the Alt backspace. Then I'm going to create a new layer again. So I'm going to hold on Alt and click on the new layer icon here and call this lights BG. Okay, and I'm going to select my brush tool and increase my brush. All right, now go to my foreground color picker here, and I'm going to make this more brighter and select the OK button, and then I'm going to click once and activate the free transform and just make this bigger and position this somewhere around here. All right, I'm going to paste the 3D text by holding Control for Windows users and command for Mac users and paste this. On this option here, I'm going to make sure that I'm on the smart object and I'm going to select the OK button. Let's make it smaller. Hit the enter key. Now what I'm going to do now is if I zoom in now, you see you have this, these gradient lines here on my 3D object. So we need to take that off. So to do that, we have to apply surface blur to the project. So to do that, I'll go straight to filter here, blur, and hit the surface blur option here. My threshold is going to be 41, my radius is going to be 30, and then I'm going to select the OK button. Now let's give this the 3D look. So add curve adjustment, and I'm going to click this to just only the 3D text. I'm going to call this 3D text. All right, so you guys can get my message right. So then I'm going to select the curve adjustment thumbnail and just add depth to this like so. All right, so this should go up here like so, and then this should go down. Add more curve adjustment and just make this darker like so, and click on the clip icon and just make this go up a bit like so. All right, now this is okay for now, and I'm gonna hide this. I'll call this shadow. All right, and I'm gonna add another curve adjustment. Click on the clip icon and just make this, call this highlight. I'm gonna hit Ctrl I for PC users or Command I for Mac users on the thumbnail. So I'm gonna call this highlights. As I want to zoom in, all right, and I'll select the brush tool. Go to the brush settings and make sure that you are on the soft round brush. Okay, so then I'm going to select the thumbnail of my shadow here because I want to apply shadow to the project, and I'm going to scale down my brush, and I'm going to just switch this to white by clicking on this switch icon here, and make sure that transfer is checked. So under the transfer option, make sure your control is on pen pressure. Okay, so but if you don't have a graphics tablet, simply go to flow here and dial this down to 8, and you're still going to achieve the same move. All right, so I'm going to apply this here like so. I'm just going to gently apply that here, but I'm going to be very fast with this. So when you're doing this, you need to be very careful. All right, there are times you need to make use of the polygonal lasso tool and just draw a part so your brush won't go out of where you want to apply it. So I'm just going to select the brush tool again now, just gently apply this here because I don't want this to extend to this side of my project. Okay, so I'm just going to gently apply that here. All right, so I'll hit the Control D on my keyboard to take away the marquee, because if you don't, you won't be able to apply the brush to the other part of the project. So I think I over applied here, so I'm just going to take it out from here like so. All right, so zoom in here. And for this side here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the pen tool, hide this, and just hide this also. And I'm going to click here because we need to draw a part here. So because this side, we're losing details on this side of the project, so we need to bring it back. All right, so I'm just going to select this here like so, and click here, then just close it. I'm going to hold down Control and hit the Enter key to convert my part to a marquee, and I'll make this visible and make this visible, and then make sure you're on the thumbnail of the shadow of the cover shadow and select the brush tool. Now there are times where your marquee is going to be blocking you from, it's going to be stopping you from seeing what you're doing. So what you need to do is to hit Control H on your keyboard to hide the marquee, and then I'm going to reduce my brush size and just make sure that this is set to white, and then add this back to the scene like so. Right, So I'm going to do the same thing here, because if we don't do it this way, the project is not going to look the way we want it. So I'm just going to gently apply this here like so. All right, this is good. So for this side here, I'm just going to quickly activate the highlights and click on the thumbnail. All right, and let's hit, if I hit Ctrl H, now we have the marquee back. So what I'm going to do is to hit Ctrl Shift and I to reverse the marquee. All right, so I'm going to zoom out so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'll hit Ctrl Shift and I, and then we have the marquee on the opposite side of the project. And I'm going to zoom in again now and select the thumbnail of the highlight, increase my brush size, because we really want to make this side more brighter. All right, now for those of you that don't know why we decided to reverse the marquee, is so as to not to make the highlight touch this shadow part of our project. So I'm just gonna, oh, excuse me, so I'm just gonna apply this here like so. And please guys, when you're doing this, be careful not to make it touch this side of your project, because touching that side is going to affect the success of what we're trying to achieve here. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to black by hitting the X key on my keyboard, and I'm just going to apply the shadow back to this side of the project. All right, and go back to white again and just take this out like so, just gently. All right, now we have this. Now you see that our project is already having life. Okay, so I'm going to just hit the Control D on my keyboard to take away the marquee, and then we have this. So I'm having issue with my letter E here, so we need to create this side of the 3D ourselves. So I'm just going to select the pen tool now and make sure that my pen option is set to shape, and I'm going to click by starting from here. All right, and I'm going to end it here like so. So I'm using the space bar to move my part. So I'm going to hold down Alt and click, and then come right here and click, and then just close it like so. Now as you can see, the color here is different from what we have here. So in order to blend it, what we're going to do is, first off, I'm going to just click on my direct selection tool here. All right, and this should be here. So to make it blend, I'll go to my fill option here and double click on my color picker here and just sample this side of my letter here and just click the OK button, and then you see that we have the color of our letter here. So if you want to blend this well again, you can just add layer mask to this and select the brush tool. Now make sure that your foreground is set to black and just fade things here. All right, create a new layer, and I'm gonna switch this to black. I'll hit the D key on my keyboard. I'm gonna hold down Control and click on the thumbnail of the part that I just drew, and I'm gonna hold down Shift and click on the thumbnail of the 3D and select the layer mask and say I don't want anything I apply to this layer to go outside from the letter E here. So I'm gonna select the thumbnail of the shadow. So I'm gonna gently apply that here. Reduce the brush size like this here. Select the pen tool and change this to parts. Just take this out here. So hit the enter key and then hit the delete key on your keyboard and hit the Ctrl D to take away the key. Add levels to this was to make it, add more depth to this. So I'm going to just put my shadow in like so to add more depth to it, like so. Okay, so for this side, I think run here, so I'll take my brush like this. I'm going to put all of this in a group. So I'll hit Ctrl G with Shift Select. So I use Shift Select all layers and hit G. And what I'm going to do for this is S1. I take a copy of this, call this S2. Right? So for my S2, because if you look at the side of my S here, it's really looking like it's real. So to give it that real look, I'm going to select my pen tool. So I'm going to hold down Control for PC users and Command for Mac users and hit the Enter key. And then I'm going to add a layer mask to this. All right. So I'll hold down Alt and drag to duplicate the layer mask and apply it to the S1 group folder. So what I'm going to do is on the S2 folder, I'm going to hit Control I for PC users or Command I for Mac users. And next is to just drag this down here a bit like so. And I'm going to select the pen to create a new layer and I just call this S parts. All right. Then so I'm going to change this to shape and I'm going to click here on here. I think the head of my S here is too big. So we need to change this to parts. So we're going to click here. Take this out from here. So just close it and hit Control Enter for PC users and Command Enter for Mac users. I should be on this layer, so I'm going to hold down Control and Backspace and hit Control D to take away the marquee. And let's see if I move this here. So I'm going to select all of this and position it here. And next is to drag and drop the POS. So I'm going to drag that and drop here. And I'm going to scale this down and just rotate it a bit like so. Position it here. So I'll shift select the layers and just move this up a bit. So I'll create a new layer and call this paper. Select the pen tool, make sure that this is set to shape here. And I'm going to change this to no fill and change this to black and make sure that my stroke width is set to 0.73. And I'm just going to click here. Close it. All right, so we need to fine tune this. So this needs to go out a bit. This should come in here. To change this to the color of this paper here and select the OK button. And then I'm going to take away the stroke. All right, and then we have this. Okay, so in order to make this more interesting, we have to add depth to it. So I just created a new layer by holding down Alt and then click on the new layer icon here. So I'm going to call this shadow. All right, and select the brush tool and make sure that this is clipped to this and select the brush tool, increase the brush size, and then I'm going to just sample this set of shadow here, and then just gently apply that here. You can even gently apply it here. No, it should be here. All right, just here, then there, like so. All right, then the next thing I'm going to do is to add my text. So I'm going to select the text tool and just draw a text frame here because I'm using Photoshop CC 2021. So Photoshop will automatically fill the text frame for me. And then for this, I'm going to use Myriad justify last left here, like so. I'll position this here like so. All right, now this is good. Now this needs to be black. All right, and let's start placing this where we want it. So I'm going to make a copy of this. So I'm going to just rotate this. Then I'm going to make this smaller, right? Position this here, this smaller, position it here. Let's make it a bit bigger. Hit the enter key and I'm going to right click and say convert to a smart object. And then I'm going to make this a bit bigger again. And this time I'm going to make a copy of this and just make this be below this. And I'm going to just rotate this a bit and right click this time and select warp. Right, so this need to go in here a bit, and this need to go in here a bit, like so. All right, then I'm going to make a copy of this again. All right, I'll make this visible, and this time I'm just going to reduce the texts. Just going to reduce the texts. All right, and right click and convert this to a smart object. Activate the free transform and just rotate this again. Make this real small, and this should be here. Make it smaller. This should be here. All right, I'm gonna hit the enter key, and then we have this. All right, then so for this side here, I'm gonna make a copy of this again. Let's just position this above this. All right, I'll make this visible and say convert to smart objects. Similar. For my POS here, I'm going to create a new layer. Call this layer shadow. Sure that this is set to black. And then I'm going to select the brush tool, and then make sure that my smooth is set to 45, like so, and just click, drag, push this, so, right? So then I'm going to activate the free transform and just push this down a bit, and this should be closer to this side here, like so. And I'm going to select the eraser tool and just, fade this out a bit. This is good already. We can even add curve to this to just, make this look more interesting by adding more depth, right? And we can add a vignette by just dragging this down like so, and hit Control I to reverse the mask. Select the brush tool, increase my brush size, and then make sure that my foreground is set to white here, and then add this back to the scene like so, and then we are done. Wow, I'm glad you made it to the end of this tutorial. If you're able to achieve any project with the help of this tutorial, simply post it on your Instagram page and remember to tag me. My Instagram handle is at Ceasar Graphix, and if you have not subscribed, remember to hit the subscribe button and remember to check the post notification bell so you get notified when I post my tutorials. I'll see you again in the next one. Peace.